Is it really possible to predict the future? For some, divination readings are merely a source of entertainment.
Okay, Wendy, number one, you are a pretty girl.
Oh, thank you.
While for others, they're crucial for major life decisions.
Everything just changed. Career took off, I met my wife.
I can't deny my curiosity about the future, so I've decided to delve into the craft of divination reading to find out whether there's any truth to their claims. I'm Wendy, and this is Hidden Hustles.
Have you tried street fortune telling before?
The irony is I haven't actually.
Okay. You don't do street fortune telling this one, right?
I do it online, so like the old-fashioned way of doing it on the streets is kind of not my thing.
Okay. So what are these like flowers for actually?
Yeah, basically people buy the flowers to pay tribute to the Goddess of Mercy temple here. The old people here basically make a living by selling the flowers or joss sticks lah.
Hello.
Hello. Can we both do a reading?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Does this differ between different practitioners?
The way we convey the message might be a bit different given our different backgrounds, but all legitimate practitioners should be able to arrive at the same conclusion because these are laws that we are studying.
Meaning you're always surrounded with boys. All boys are your helper.
Helper.
All girls jealous of you, but they are your friend. They are special, alright? Your future husband come from where?
I don't know.
Oh,
You gonna tell me?
I'm going to tell you
Okay.
now. 1994, where is that? 94 is here, is Juro. Okay? So Juro is 5, and you are sitting here, he's sitting on the south. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
So you go to the south, he's there, like Marina Bay, alright, Vivo City, Pasir Panjang. In other words, if you are staying here, you don't go to Woodland. If
Okay.
you're talking of Singapore, don't find any boy from Malaysia.
Okay.
No good for you.
Okay.
It's better stick to Singaporean. Are you a Singaporean?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, but we're not together, ah. Okay.
You can start thinking.
He's married.
No, it's just a joke, huh?
Maybe you can start by first letting me know what you wish to find out.
You can just go with what jumps out at you immediately. Because
So many things to say.
Okay.
So many things to say.
Oh my gosh. Okay, tell me.
Okay, so you basically went through something we called the Saturn return last year. So Saturn return is basically your astrological coming of age, where in the eyes of astrology, someone truly grows up, to be an adult. Yours hit sometime around mid last year. So last year, from what I'm seeing, should have been a very bumpy year for relationships where someone you met probably didn't treat you very well. And the thing about your chart is your peach blossom is quite strong because this inkwood represents men, basically, opposite gender. You see, you have one here, you have one here as well. From 2023 to 2025, a lot of your growth comes from how you perceive relationships, how you engage relationships, how you handle them. You would be in a much, much better phase or year once 2026 is here.
Okay, this reads my life.
Yes, your entire life. From birth till the day you are no longer around.
Okay. It's interesting to me that you pointed out last year. I think because last year, was rocky. I went through a breakup. To me, I felt like it had to happen because it taught me a lot of stuff about like myself, life, love, etc. So like, and you mentioned canon events, right? Canon events.
Yeah,
like
canon
stuff that
events,
has
yeah.
to happen. Like you feel like
Every part of the multiverse.
so that's, I guess, fascinating. Yeah.
Did you meet him in 2021 by any chance? Around there? Or even earlier?
No, 2021.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So probably blossomed in 2021. Because your spouse element appeared in 2021 and it got absorbed into your marriage sector. And this is the fascinating thing. If the two of you are meant to be together, if I decipher both charts, right, both will say the same story. I call it like divine geometry, where everything follows a certain law and just falls into place.
Okay. Would you call yourself a fortune teller?
I wouldn't. I usually shy away from using that term because I always felt that there's a lot more to astrology or what I do than to simply fortune tell. Because Chinese astrology was developed based on, nature's laws. So meaning whatever you can observe in nature, human life will have a certain parallel to that.
So when you read for people, you normally can see a kind of full spectrum of their life. So does that mean like everything is kind of predetermined already?
I would always feel that some things are fated or predetermined, but not everything. And I would never want anyone to believe that every single thing in your life is predetermined, because it's a fatalistic or even nihilistic way of living your life. Practitioners from the past, when they write books on Chinese astrology, they always say that our ancestors developed this field so that we can do better than what our chart entails. It's to get you aware of certain things so that you can transcend your chart. That's the whole purpose, right? To live effectively, to live differently, to live better than what your chart says you can.
What if someone has a bad natal chart? Like, can the person change their fate?
For example, if let's say two people have an equally challenging natal chart, but you observe them over a period of a few years. The first person starts to do really, really well, overcame everything, but the other person, just gets stuck in a spiral. What is it in the charts that make the outcomes different? In Chinese metaphysics, there's this term called yun, which a lot of people interpret as the translation of the word luck, but I completely disagree. The Western definition of luck is that random, arbitrary, positive events just happen to you without you having to do anything. But if we think about the laws governing astrology, cause and effect, yun at the end of the day is thought and action. So when they say 好运, 好运 means someone is developing, growing well as a person, which is why I said two people with equally challenging natal charts. The person with the positive yun is the one that has the positive attitude, the resilience, and the ability to change their perspective. Whereas one with the negative yun is the one that's always blaming others, playing the victim. So to answer your question, there is a way for someone with a bad natal chart to change their lives. But as I said, it is very difficult.
And is this yun written on the charts?
Yes, the yun is written in the chart. So basically, whether you develop well as a person or you don't, it's actually written it's also kind of written in there. But at the end of the day, I think practitioners are just messengers. The information is there to get you aware of certain things so that you could lead a better and more effective life.
I needed some time to process what Sean had shared. In the meantime, I decided to explore Western card reading to see if there'll be a similar interpretation of my life.
Okay, so this is pretty simple. Usually what I need is your date of birth. And based on your date of birth, we can calculate your life path number. So your life path number is a 3. And then this year, so soul journey, I call like whenever you're calculating a current year, so it's 2024, right? And that comes down to an 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. 11 comes down to a 2 this year. So this is a 9-year journey, right? 1 to 9. 1 is a new beginning. 9 is the ending of a cycle. And you're basically at 2 here, means last year you started a brand new journey. The past 3 years would have been a bit of a roller coaster. This doesn't just need to be physically, this can be mentally, perspective, or maybe, we're just growing into a new awareness and it was a bit uncomfortable.
I guess a lot of people come in for love as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was interested to know for myself, what do you think?
Should we draw one card? Do you want to see?
Sure.
So let's see love. Ask for help.
Okay.
Very masculine. So not that love has to do with masculine energy, but it's how you felt growing up with your father roles or fathering roles. I think there's like a lot of approval, a lot of reassurance needed from people around you. Like maybe if you find someone attractive, you need people to tell you that yes, that person is attractive. So I'm going to see the bottom card energy, right? It says the union of the hearts, right? And then see the irony of it, right? The person that you feel connected to from a heart level is the one that would feel the best to be around. But then this is a very logical card, right? You are a very logical person. So when you suddenly meet someone and it's crazy, like it doesn't make sense, that could be the one. Now we come back down to the real detail of the card, right? her throat chakra has a light. And she's basically like covering her heart a bit, right? Maybe when it comes down to a bit of the heart chakra or meeting people romantically and all that, there's a bit of that closeness. Like what's happening maybe now with love life is also because you're not focusing on it. It's just like a back thought, oh, it'd be nice if I meet someone, but it's not an active like, oh, this is what I want to manifest. This is what I want in a relationship.
I'm like intrigued that you say that I'm a logical person because I always think that I feel a lot.
So for you, maybe if there's a certain emotion that's coming, you'll make it logical.
Rationalize it.
You rationalize, you make sense.
Okay.
That's emotionally logical. So it is still categorized under emotional, but it's not entirely emotional because you are still turning it into logic. You still want to make sense of it from a survival perspective.
Different people interpret the cards differently, right? So like, how does that translate to consistency, you know, like throughout different readings?
I feel like a jigsaw puzzle whereby you're piecing what they're feeling versus the reality around them. Like, okay, why is this person feeling this way? And then how can you help them to navigate their thoughts into creating more self-love? And the self-love then becomes an attractive aura, and then everything else works, right? You can predict, but how accurate, how much does that help the client? It doesn't. Then it comes back down to the reading. For me, I'm more of a channeler. So for me, it's basically I maybe have the message going on in my head, like it kind of comes through. And then what I do is that I use the cards as a form of a presentation.
Okay, basically you're reading a person for what they're feeling inside.
Yes.
Right.
And then from the inside, how they can then navigate it to the outside. Because the outside is, then what do we call it? Manifestation and intention setting. So based on how they feel, you then help them to bridge them into what they're trying to create.
Okay, I don't know if it's controversial, but
Okay,
like,
go on.
because I recently did like a coaching session, like with for some other like aspect of my life, right? So somehow I feel like when I'm doing in this setting, it feels kind of like a coaching session. So then what's the point of like the cards in that sense?
So like, you see, specifically you choose a coaching session to go to because you feel like that is going to help you in your current progress. So when people choose a tarot card reader or even a divination reading, it's just a choice of what they pick for their progression. So the cards are just a little tools just to show you what's happening. It's nothing magical about the cards. It's just how you use the cards as a tool just to see where you are at.
So you will say your cards kind of help you make the readings more credible.
Yeah, more credible and more concrete also.
Okay. But there's a spiritual element. Is there a spiritual element to it?
So the cards are nothing spiritual. It's after you have gained the knowledge. So I will tell all my clients this, like anyone who gets a reading from Nara goes back with a homework.
Right.
So it says here, as I listen to my heart, the right affirmation comes to me. Affirmation that are long, wordy and theoretical lose their emotional impact. Choose affirmation that comes from your heart, not from your head. I feel like the reading, yes, you set an intention already, but yet you need to do the work for it. So I feel like when we start being very real about how we are working our life along with the reading, that's when it becomes spiritual.
Seeing how Sean and Nara conduct their readings, it got me wondering, is there a right way to use this information to handle life's ups and downs?
How do you draw the boundaries, or like what's your moral compass like?
But I feel like divination as a whole, reading usually just serve as guidance. And you just want to have some answers. The red flag here is that when you are reliant on this so very often, like every single thing that happens to you, what to wear, what you feel, how you should feel, that's when you will start switching off that decision-making process in your brain.
I'm like any other normal human being. You know, I don't have visions, I don't have a voice speaking to me, I don't have prophetic dreams. For astrologers or practitioners like myself, it's really more of understanding the laws and the patterns that govern our world. And we use it to forecast someone's life or predict events and whatnot. It has to do with observable phenomena.
Most of my readings, I try to stay very present because I feel like your present is what you can use to create the future you want. Right? Some people are just stimulated a bit more in that sense. Once you give them ideas like that, you're actually doing them more harm than good.
The funny thing is, I never grew up wanting to be an astrologer. There was a series of, I guess you could say, canonical events that got me to do this eventually. And it could go as far back as my childhood.
this kind of started with a very huge influence, which is actually my godmother, Rosina. I was in a state whereby I was just in a very, very bad space. I think that was a cycle of depression, and I was also in a space of anxiety disorder whereby I had to see psychiatrists for medication.
Why was I born to a family where your mother asks you to kill yourself when you're a kid? I don't think I was a bad person. I don't think I've done anything wrong as a child. But, why do my parents seem to want my life to end? And there was a point in my life where I was very resentful. No matter how much I prayed to the goddess of mercy, my suffering didn't go away. But after getting in touch with the philosophy behind astrology, and I look at the statue of the goddess of mercy, I'll tell myself, I think I know why you didn't answer my prayers so soon back then.
So by reading your chart, right, does it give you the courage to did it give you the courage to step out of your family situation?
For sure. The interesting thing is, reading my own charts was one of the few factors that helped me cling on to whatever hope was left at that point. When I first read my chart, I was 26 or 27, and my charts said that there will be a turning point when you reach 30 lah. Well, I was skeptical, of course, and then I hit 30, and suddenly everything just changed. Career took off. I met my wife, and many happy, positive events. So I guess philosophy and learning astrology, it has given me so much closure, and it helped me make sense of a lot of things.
From someone who was very troubled, I found my way out, and here I am. I feel like I could be like a Rosina that walked into a few people's life. And it fulfills, yes, my moral compass. It also fulfills maybe a part of me having to do service back to people. So I feel like what I do is becoming very connected to who I am.
After I had my readings done, I started contemplating life a lot more. One message tells me it's almost absolute, another tells me to take home messages that are relevant to me. And I found myself grappling with which voice I should let determine the course of my actions. But I distilled it down to this. Which voice do I want to be loudest in my life? Ironically, I chose my own. As an idealist who loves to dream, knowing exactly what would happen doesn't assure me. It only makes me doubt the present. So I'm not sure if there is a right way to use these readings, but I will say, if you do, it's important to go into it with a clear head, knowing ultimately we all have a purpose and you determine your future.
Thank you for watching this episode of Hidden Hustles. It was a pretty intense shoot due to the nature of the topic. There were many things discussed that weren't included in the final cut. But if you have any questions, do let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Keep the conversation going and we'll try our best to answer them.